All right. Hello, and welcome everybody to the Superfriendo'S Roundtable. This is going to be Season 2, Episode 1 of the Superfriendo'S Roundtable. We're starting Odyssey off with a new cast. We've got a bunch of people that I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to now. In alphabetical order, in the order of appearance of the group that they represent, or if they're individual, we'll get to them at the end of the list here. We've got from Elite Week, myself, Kai. We've got Tweet. Say hello, Tweet.
Hello, everybody.
From LAVE Radio, we've got Ben MOSS-WOODWARD, aka Commander LE-WEISE. Say hi, Ben.
We do not have Ben.
Ben?
Hi.
Hi, there you go. You unmuted yourself.
Hi there. Yeah, I have physical buttons.
We have from Loose Screws, Commander CHIG. Say hello, CHIG.
Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it happens to be.
Right on. Happy time zone to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have representing himself, Astro, aka Down to Earth Astronomy. Say hello, Astro.
Good evening, everybody.
Absolutely. Great to have you with us. We have two other members of the cast of the panel, ALEC Turner of the Buckyballers and general exploration and racing fame, and SOUVARINE of SAGI magazine. But those two are both sort of on holiday at the moment. So I don't know where ALEC is at. I know Suv is at the Isle of Skye. So it's they are out and about, and they'll join us for the next one. Let's see here. Today we've joined together to talk about all things Odyssey, sort of the initial launch. I made sure that when I named this episode that I called it Part 1, because I think that it's very important that we sort of bookend this with another stream in a couple of weeks where we look at where things are and kind of maybe have a little bit of a less sensational. I know right now the feelings are running hot with a lot of people in the community of sort of a lot of, you know, day one MMO launch stuff that's fairly par for the course at this point. But, you know, we are going to talk about what we've seen to sort of start this off, and then we'll take it from there. So, right off the bat, we've got day one impressions. Let's start with you, Astro.
So I'm gonna cheat a little bit because my day one impressions were, I think I had half an hour, 45 minutes in game. After which point the servers decided to absolutely die and burn, and then I didn't get in the rest of the day. So I'm gonna count my day one experience as the day following. So that will be on the 20th. There's definitely a lot of things to get used to. I mean, the new galaxy map takes some getting used to, and other small things like I don't know if you noticed, the SRV handles slightly differently than it did before. I don't know why, but it does. So like some small things here and there you have to get used to. Overall, I was really enjoying it, and the whole, like, you feel like a noob again feeling. I mean, this is like starting Elite all over for me, and I've been having an absolute blast with it. Finding all those small things where you're like, I don't know what that is. I don't know where to get this thing. I don't know what this thing does. I don't know what I'm using it for. But that is that's for me is a super enjoyable experience, and I've been having a ton of fun over the last couple of days. So yeah, thumbs up from here.
Right on. CHIG.
I was happy that I was able to play the first day, and it seemed to run relatively smoothly when it was running, and then it would crash, and then you'd get back in. But I was surprised that it ran as good as it did. It just, as the days went on, things started, you know, the warts really started showing. But, you know, overall, I was happy on the day one experience.
All right. Ben.
I think my day one experience was okay, actually, because I logged on. I was able to take a taxi from Sol over to Hudson Orbital. And then I was able to go off and do a few things with Commander Lennon from the Truckers. And then, as Astro said, the servers went boom. So, and then I was like, that my first day, I had fun. If
Right
you
on.
call 90 minutes in a taxi fun.
Right on. And for a little bit of a different outlook, I'm going to sort of introduce Commander Tweak. Now, Tweak is a console player, so he's a bit on the outside, but I think it's still very valid to sort of see his viewpoint of everything that he was seeing and feeling on day one. Go ahead, Tweak.
Yeah, I'm on the outside looking in, but I'm watching everything with an eye to the future, so to speak. Server issues aside, what I saw was people doing things. That the game was working. People were walking around stations. People were landing on planets. I saw some different looking atmospheres that I'm looking forward to seeing. To be totally honest, my initial thoughts, though, were disappointment when I saw that they had not changed the blue sphere to get in and out of the ships. I saw that, and I saw that the interior of the station still looked kind of like an Instagram filter over them, and that was a little disappointing that didn't get improved. But other than that, it still, to me, looks like something that I can't wait to get into and a great base for the future.
Okay, well, I'm going to close this topic out and say, for me, I was actually sort of pleasantly surprised early on day one that things ran. My default keybinds disappeared, and it starts you right off in that little sort of intro thing, that tutorial mission, which I thought was really well done, very cool. Was a little bummed at the end where you couldn't get out of the ship because it's like, okay, well, we just sort of didn't finish this. But I thought up until that point, it was pretty cool. Oddly enough, when I got out of that intro, my keybinds worked for the rest of the stuff. I was worried I was going to have to remap everything for the HOTAS and for driving, for flying, all of that. And after the tutorial, it actually worked, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was, let's see. I thought it was less of a shit show than I thought it was going to be. I mean, if you remember going back to even back in the day, Burning Crusade, the first big expansion from WoW, the servers were down as much as they were up for like the first week.
Let's face it, I don't think we could play the first week.
I did, but it was rough, and I think that
didn't we get like 14 days of refunded time or something after the initial welcome? We got a lot of days. I remember that.
Other games, yeah.
No, World of Warcraft gave a bunch of days free after Burning Crusade. And
maybe
I think we did in some of the other patches as well, but it was rough. Yeah.
So going back to what I was saying, it wasn't as bad as first impressions. There was definitely some jank, and we're going to get to that. Which actually, let's start that topic off. Running list of sort of minor items, sort of small things that are like, oof, this is whatever, or that is whatever. I'm going to start off with a couple, and then we're going to round robin. I think basically mine all fit in the same category. There's some UI stuff. There's some stuff with the galaxy map. There's some stuff with system map and bookmarks. There's some stuff with just lots of little things that sort of, to me, all come back to the feeling of you have some new interesting features here that I'm actually excited to see how they play out. But it was one of those things where the teacher called out, time is done, put your pencils down, and you still had like half a page to fill in. So it's like, I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff, but there's also a whole lot of jank. I'm looking at you, ship outfitting screen that wants to sell people's engineered modules without any warning whatsoever if they don't check a small, tiny box at the bottom that it's never been intuitive and you've never sold before. Up until this point, the entire history of Elite Dangerous, if you went to sell an engineered module, you got a little pop-up screen that said, are you sure you want to do this? And now it's just like everything must go crazy, Eddie. So like lots of good, interesting things, but tons and tons of little bugs and little stuff of like, this wasn't finished yet. They need another 2 months to sort of polish it up, and then I think it'll be pretty cool. Let's go to Ben.
I've got a couple of questions, and I don't know if this is me just not knowing how to use the new UI, or if it's not there, or if it's broken, or what. Right, in the galaxy map, if I see you're over in DSO while I'm in LAVE, how do I know it's you who's in DSO?
So you used to be able to, in the galaxy map, you would have a friend icon, you would hover your mouse over it, and you would see the name. That is not in it yet. This is, again, this is one of the many pieces of functionality that we used to have, but now we don't because it's not finished yet. Give them a month.
Okay, another thing that we might have to give them a month. I like how they've broken down my bazillion bookmarks, and we're now all the systems, all the stations and things like that. That's great. I like that. I prefer it to be an arbitrary, please let me go off and create all my DW2 folder or my CG folder or whatever, but you know, this is okay. But if I want to fly directly to, say, LAVE station, you know, in the past I'd have gone to the LAVE station on the bookmark, clicked the little navigate squiggly arrows, and it would have done a route plot all the way to LAVE station. Now I can select the station and I see I've got things over on the right hand side, and I click the squiggly thing, and it'll take me to LAVE, but not to the station. Am I being an idiot, or is that gone as well?
Nope, that's just gone as well. Before, you would click on your fleet carrier bookmark, and then it would plot you to your fleet carrier till you land. Now it plots you to the system. You have to then go and replot in system map or in your left-hand panel to the specific location in system. That functionality we lost with Odyssey launch. I'm sure that it will be back in a month. In addition to your statement on the bookmarks, you're like, I like the bookmark folders. I hate the bookmark folders. Okay. I wanted bookmark folders, but I wanted that I assign them. I wanted them with unlimited. I wanted them with unlimited bookmarks. I wanted them with bookmarks that I could hyperlink in chat, and I wanted them with bookmarks that I could create sort of anywhere in the galaxy using system coordinates for the bodies and latitude, longitude once you get to the bodies. What we got is all kinds of folders that they pick, which are very unintuitive to me, no increase in the total number that we can do, no ability to link them, and no ability to make specific ones where we want. I hope that in a month or so, that'll be a very different answer.
So I've got one other thing that I'll mention at the moment, otherwise we'll just be here all week. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but it feels to me like the planets are the same as what we had in the alpha. I've not seen these beautiful planets that they were showing us in their streams. And I could be visiting the wrong place.
Come to Astro's Observatory. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So also Ben, take a look at the agenda notes and see that Planet Tech was a thing that we're discussing after this one. All right.
Next. Okay.
So let's jump to CHIG. Your sort of small open issues.
They talked a lot about, code refresh and stuff, and I was really hoping instancing would have been fixed, but that's been the biggest headache of anything so far. And there's a lot of little headaches, but I mean, there was one point me, Dubs, and his wife were all in a station together, and I could see her, he could see me, but he couldn't see her, and she couldn't see me. It was, how are we, like half instance together, and, log out, log back in, log out, log back in, just to try to get in a group together. You go to do one of these new on-foot conflict zones, and you're not seeing your teammates. Here's a minor little pet peeve. In conflict zones, your allies in the conflict zones have that nice green dot over them. Your teammates do not. So you keep seeing somebody running up without that green dot, and it's like, oh, I got to shoot an enemy. Just I don't know, just lots of little things like that. And obviously, the outfitting menu system, outfitting a ship, is a whole new adventure that it wasn't before. That's all I really got right now.
Right on. Astro.
I mean, there are some small things that I've noticed. Most of it is like, if we're talking like features, I would like to see. No, we are talking bookmarks. Being able to delete a bookmark without having to go into the delete bookmark thing would be nice. But in terms of things that are, I think, a little bit more pressing, you already talked about the issue with engineered modules being defaultly sold without a warning message. There's also a problem with people selecting a material reward on missions. Then it will reset them back to 0, that material. I think that I mean, those are the things that are obvious bugs, but that are things that's going to fix. So if we're going to look at things that I would like to see improved, something like when you go to one of these new atmospheric planets, the atmosphere only kicks in the second you go into glide. For some planets.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed it on the planet where they put Astro's Observatory. You can't see the atmosphere from space. Only the moment you go into glide does it pop in. So there's some small things here and there that I would like to see improved. But overall, I mean, I know the UI for the Galaxy map has received a little bit of heat, and I found it very confusing in the beginning and didn't like it at all. But after been using it now for a few days, I'm actually beginning to come around to it. And what I like is the way they split it up into two sides of the screen. So on the left-hand side, I have all the filtering and coloring of stars and setting up my routes, and all that stuff is all on one side of the screen. And the other side of the screen has all to do with information about the system I've selected. So where I can see information about the star, I can see like who owns the system and government types and states and market data, and all that stuff is then all on the other side. Splitting that up in two, I actually think is quite neat. They could pencil it out a little bit more so it was clearer that that's what they've done. But as soon as I discovered that, and I had that mindset say, okay, so that side is plotting, that side is info, then it became a lot more intuitive for me to use. So I think like just a little headline above that would be nice. I think it would help people a lot to get around with using the new Galaxy map. And then other small box, like when you select a system, there's this little like white circle thing that pops up. It doesn't match the system you're clicking on. That would be nice if that would also fit. So like small visual things here and there. But overall, I think this is just the larger things that I would like to see improved. That the bugs that are there. But again, Frontier are squashing them one at a time, so I'm pretty sure that we'll get that one squashed as well.
And there's sort of bigger and smaller ones and whatever all over the place. I didn't want to go through everything because I wanted to leave some for other people, but we're going to round robin now. When you think of stuff, just throw it out, because let's dig into some of the things so that we can sort of, address them. First off, I think that it's beyond silly that we still don't have keybinds for med packs and battery packs for our suit. Like through the alpha, everyone said, where the hell is the keybind for my med pack and my battery for my suit so that I can, while in combat, real quick, apply a Band-Aid, as opposed to stop everything I'm doing and try to dig through a circular menu that works greater or lesser sometimes. Anybody else want to co-sign on that?
Hell yeah.
I thought Frontier, we made it very, very clear during the alpha, like, hey, keybind for the med pack and the batteries, and they were like, we hear you. And
didn't Alpha even say, yeah, that's that's a good idea?
Yeah.
I haven't noticed it. I haven't noticed it being an issue, and when the little combat I have been doing, I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was there. It's a no-brainer that to add that in, and then people can use it if they like it to use it, and they can use it if they're not. But I can also see the oh, I need to apply a band-aid. I need to go and like dive for cover because I can't just run down a corridor and shoot with one hand while applying a band-aid with the other. So I don't see this as a huge issue, but again, it's one of those absolutely added in because it doesn't take anything away from anybody. If people still want to dive for cover every time they take damage, they can still do that.
Is that the reason that it's the way that it is? Is that because of, like, for
No.
consoles, less keys? I mean, you have the radio window.
It's
No.
We have
here's-
plenty of
here's-
keys on our controllers to
Okay.
okay. everything. I'm willing to bet.
Here would be my response to that. There are, if you open up the options menu, about 10 billion optional keybinds. There's nothing forcing console players to use it if they put it in there as an option. So there's tons of keybinds now. You have keybinds for jettison all cargo. How many times in your Elite playing career do you think you're going to need to apply a better battery pack or a Band-Aid versus how many times in your Elite career do you intend on jettisoning all cargo?
Well, no, I'm 100% agree that I think it should be in there. There's already 5 million keybinds. I mean, there's a keybind for walk. You know, you can run or walk, or default movement is what, jog. So, you know, if there's a keybind for walk, which I'm not making videos where I need a character walking. That's the only reason I believe it's in there.
Yeah. So that
One of the biggest things for me that I've seen missing, I think, and maybe you guys have found it, but they've given us physical multi-crew where you can fly down to a planet with friends and attack a settlement or something. But where are the wing missions or the team missions to go down and share this mission with those friends that you go with? I haven't seen any of those yet.
Has anyone, please pipe in, has anyone on the panel seen team missions in Odyssey? Like,
No.
you and three friends go do this. I seem
Didn't
to remember
Frontier
when.
say- I think
Go
you're
ahead.
about to say what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
So didn't Frontier say when you go and pick up a mission as part of a team, your entire team gets it? Or was that next?
I think that'll be interesting. Let's all sort of dig around and play with that and see if maybe there's just sort of an assumption that we are aware of that, because maybe it's a situation of, yeah, you click on the mission and you click share and we find out that, hey, look, every mission is shareable. That would be cool.
Is there a share button for missions?
I haven't seen it.
We'll I'm guarantee you when the stream ends, there's going to be 5 or 6 guys that are going to be digging through that.
Oh, I'm doing nothing just now, Kai. What about you?
Yeah. So that's a thing to look at. I mean, because Frontier made a big deal about the fact that, you know, hey, in Odyssey, it's going to be all about commanders doing stuff with commanders, and then to not see a single sort of team mission is like head scratch.
Well, what about the whole triangle combat that we were supposed to have too? Ships supporting SRVs, supporting people on foot.
Yeah.
None of that.
Well, not only do we sort of not have that, but the or as far as not see a lot of like from Frontier side implementation of that, but we're also seeing like when commanders do it on their own, it's balanced sort of
I've had
weirdly.
Yeah, you talk about the speed of combat. I don't know. I had a ton of fun with it yesterday, when running the different surface sites. Like, if you haven't tried it yet, get an SRV, fight some NPCs, and just go completely roadkill on them. It's hilarious. Run them over for days, and the same thing with they spawn in. Just make a belly landing on your ship with your ship on top of them. It's it's really fun.
And it's I think there are some definite fun abilities, fun things to do. I'm not sure I would call them sort of balanced. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little the sphere of combat, let's just say, is I think a thing that I would like to see fleshed out a good bit over the coming months. But I think that's So there's small bugs, and then there's like big design things that they're going to have to really work at, and I think that's more of a big design thing that they would really sort of have to work out. What about
Astro, you were saying when you were crashing into everything with your car, or with your SRV and your ship? Whenever I've tried anything like that, I've like kissed another NPC human, and my shield suddenly takes 90% damage.
They did in the alpha, but I haven't had that issue with the same ramming issues in launch.
I was having similar in launch as well. I was doing it in one of the bases where I had a mission to do, and all of a sudden, like, I cleared I put in the power supply, ran back to my ship, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go play whack-a-mole, and running the edge of this crate along the ground, quite slow, bang into them, and then half my shields are gone, bang into another one, shields on basically empty, and then sort of rewind and get back in again.
Okay, I haven't had issues with ramming, but it may just be me.
It could just be, I was in the Crate Mark II.
Well,
I was in the Phantom.
There is also the other issue of, and I know that Astro has highlighted this in the past, in the last month or so during the alpha, that there were inconsistent damages being applied upon contact, upon crashing. So you ram into a rock one time and you lose, half of one ring of your shield, and then you ram into the same rock at the same speed a second time and you explode because it applied the damage one time on your first contact, and it applied the damage for some random reason 6 times on your second contact.
Yeah. They had definitely had I looked into the journal files doing the alpha test, and it definitely had issues with that.
Yeah. So that it may have been that you ran across that, Ben. What about so there was a big issue that was everybody was super heated about, where they you opened up your fleet carrier and you saw that your upkeep was basically double what it was before. And then everybody was saying, see, Frontier hates us, stealth nerf, the fleet carriers are garbage, all this stuff. And then like an hour later, they're like, oh, sorry, we screwed this up. Here's a hot fix. And everybody's upkeep went right back down to where it was. Like I think that was an interesting sort of microcosm of the outrage in the community and how quick you could sort of light a fuse under a powder keg. Anybody want to get in on that?
Well, what they did is they just didn't send out the monthly upkeep bill, so then it was giving you the estimate for the next week, which is going to charge you essentially 2 weeks worth of upkeep. And then once the patch came in, they came back and they charged us our accrued, so then the next week's was a little bit less because it was charged later in the day. But yeah, it was funny to watch people losing their freaking minds, and I thought that it was crazy that they did that, but I dug into it and discovered, oh no, wait, it looks like it's just I don't know, an accounting error.
Let me ask you guys.
I mean, that's sweet.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said, we've seen these things, stuff like this happening. It's just, you just notice it now because it's one of the first time we have a major update after after the fleet carriers came out. But these things happened all the time in BGS. It's been common knowledge for years that if you run, like normally BGS runs sort of 1 day tick, so every day it ticks. It's been common knowledge for years now that doing large updates, you can have double ticks, you can have ticks not happening, you can have all kinds of weird things happening. And I think it's just the same thing that happened with fleet carriers. It just, as you said, it just calculated a double week because the update screwed things up with the BGS. I think that's all it is.
About 6 months ago, I remember there was one time where we had 3 ticks on a Friday evening. I was like, what? It didn't go. It went late. And then the first one was like 2 in the afternoon, and it was like, okay, there's the tick. And then at like 6 at night, there was a second one, and it was like, well, that's weird. And then at like 9:30, there was a third one, and it was like, I give up. I don't know what's going on here.
It's one of those, like when you have a document, you double click it, it doesn't open, and you're just like, okay, double click it again, and okay, it doesn't work, double click it again, and then all of a sudden you have like a gazillion version of that document open.
Yeah, Tweaked, I see you had a point. Did you get called on for yours?
No. I'm good for this one. I just
All right.
was going to mention the missions and everything. So I think the BGS, like Astro was saying, the BGS always gets messed up when there's an update or something like this. So the fleet carrier thing, it was a little alarming at first because you didn't know the timing of it. You didn't know if it just happened to come in with Odyssey or if it was a mistake. But as we've seen now, it's gone back down to pretty much where it was.
Well, while we're on the subject of BGS, let me ask, and I want to ask you specifically, Tweaked, first for your viewpoint on this, and then everybody else. I was one of the people that was saying for several months now, hey, I'm a little worried about the fact that it seems like these, like, if we're going to be separating out the console players from the PC players, that they don't have access to Odyssey. We know that there are new conflict zones that are going to be these settlement conflict zones, and we have never expressly heard from Frontier that there's going to be an ability to sort of participate in those other than actually being there, which sort of leaves the console crowd out entirely for the next whatever, until sort of the end of the year, the fall, whatever, at whatever time we get Odyssey for consoles. And everybody was like, no, it's a war, it's just going to be the same everywhere. Well, lo and behold, Frontier put out their notes on how the conflict zones work on the settlements, and they said expressly, here's how they're going to work. Once there's a war, the two parties are both going to sort of put up a on-foot settlement, and there's going to be a conflict. Now, there is a whole war, so it does make it sound like they will have still conflict zones in space that players can participate in. But the way ownership of the settlements will be resolved is this. Whoever wins the most FPS settlement conflict zones only in each of the settlements will get ownership of that settlement, which, so number one, console players are out altogether. And number two, this is super weird for PC players. You can envision a circumstance where Astro and I go to war. I win the war, but he wins both the settlements. Or I win the war and I take his settlement, but he takes my settlement, so we swapped. Or I lose the war, but gain both settlements. Like that's super, super weird. So first I want to get Tweak's viewpoint as a console player, and then everybody else as, you know, how these settlements. What's up? Go ahead, Tweak.
Well, I was actually digging into this and thinking about this last night, and there's an important part of this that I don't think we have really clear yet, is the Odyssey settlement. So, for example, in Horizons, I don't think I can fly to Astro's new planetary port. I don't think it's there for me in Horizon.
No, it's an atmospheric planet, so no.
Right. So are all of these ground CZs only going to be at Odyssey settlements, or are they going to be also at the planetary settlements that are in Horizons today for us?
So those aren't settlements. Those are planetary ports. It literally specifically says on the post, Odyssey settlement and Odyssey settlement conflict zone. So that answers your question.
Right. So as far as it goes towards our BGS, so if those show up in OPIC space, for example, and we don't have Odyssey for another 6 months or so, then I guess what happens is whoever takes them, and we don't worry about it until we do have access to them, because we can't even see them. Mm-hmm. So it's what it means is more work to be done down the line when we do get access to Odyssey, really, because then we'll have to go in and trigger all those conflicts and take over all those settlements if we can, or those ports.
Right. All right. So that's your viewpoint from the console side. What about other people? What is this a little weird or freaky that, like, I can win the war and lose the settlement, or vice versa?
I don't know. It makes it more difficult, that's for sure, because I mean, normally when you rage a war, you had if both sides own a station, you both put a station up online basically you both put a station in the pot, right? And whoever wins the war takes the pot and then gets the other side station. But now you basically have two separate pots, and you have to split your forces out and say, okay, who's doing space, who's doing on foot, it makes wars a little bit more interesting because it's not just sit there and shoot spaceships all day. If you want to make sure you keep your settlements or gain a new settlement, you have to also fight the on-foot. I think it makes it a little bit more interesting.
Well, technically 3 pots, Astro, because like I said, let's envision you and I go to war, right? The first pot is the overall war, so that's space. The second, or actually potentially space and ground as a composite. The second pot is my settlement. The third pot is your settlement. You know what I mean? There's who wins the war, who wins settlement A, and who wins settlement B. That's 3 pots, yeah.
True. So you have to split your forces out in those potentially 3 different areas in order to ensure that you get everything. You want to keep them at least.
Yeah.
Well, like our
pretty cool.
Our BGS guys were talking about how, let's say there's 3 settlements, that are in dispute, and you're better off only winning one of them and letting the other side take the other 2 because it leaves you less vulnerable to shenanigans from other groups. So everybody's trying to figure out exactly how this is going to work because it is a whole new kind of thing. And then you throw in the whole console side of it where they can't even see those settlements. And I'm glad I'm not a BGS. I mean, I help our BGS, everybody helps, but I'm glad I don't have to figure out how it all works because these are just more chess pieces to move around.
I've definitely heard that, basically the theory that owning a settlement is bad. I think that would have to be at this point classified as an unproven theory. It may be.
Well, it's kind of that way now for the little security settlements that are in the different systems. You can win those in your wars and elections, but a lot of times we don't want to because those wonderful data acquisition missions that you take where you go down and scan the little beacon and get fined and hurt the security state, but you get great mats for doing it. Those will, if you own that settlement, it hurts your BGS technically. It lowers your security state. So it's the same theory as that is right now.
I mean,
just on a different level.
Partially true, but partially not. Again, this is a bunch of unproven assumptions because the settlements have economies. They have mission givers. They have things that could be applied. Like we don't know those little we'll call them stations just because. It's unfortunate that Frontier has added in a thing where now the name of what a settlement means post-Odyssey and what a settlement meant before are 2 very different things. But let's say that we'll call those locations. Those old locations, they didn't have an economy. They didn't generate missions. They didn't have pluses. So I think nobody's really going to know for a good couple weeks to a month to 2 months. And then on top of that, through all of this, Frontier is throwing hot patches, daily at this point, and it could be as things balance out. Now it's less valuable. Now it's more valuable. Like we gotta wait and see. I think on all of that.
I think a more fun way to do this would be because I kind of get your idea of that. It seems weird that you lose a settlement even though you won the war. So maybe it would make more sense that you have the space war being like the main one, and if you win, then if you collected enough hidden whatever points on the enemy settlement, then you also gain that as a bonus prize. So you kind of have a stretch objective. And that also means that you can then, as a losing faction, if you see you losing the war, you can go and say, okay, we're going to stop fighting the space war, and we're going to focus 100% on saving that ground-based station instead. So it also means that there's more things can change throughout the week. I don't know.
It would add more complexity and all that to the BGS stuff, which some people would love and other people would pull their hair out. But yeah, it's interesting. While we're talking about balance, let's actually look at just the overall balance of Horizons versus Odyssey. Now, when I talk about balance, what I'm talking about here is the time and the effort that you have to put in to achieve X versus the reward that you get from X. And I think that there's multiple different features to look at there. First off, how long does it take you to accomplish a Horizons mission versus how long does it take you to accomplish a Odyssey on foot mission, right? What are the rewards for each of them? As far as right now, it seems to me that it's vastly more profitable to do Horizons, missions in the amount of income that you gain versus the amount of time and work that it costs to generate it. But there's other factors that are added to that as well. The fact that basically the old fine system in Horizons was sort of a joke. Like you could blow up Alderaan for a 500 credit fine. But the new fine system in Odyssey, if you're running around not paying attention and a guard says halt and you don't halt quick enough, you get a 200,000 credit fine and they start shooting at you. And it's like, whoa, there's a massive imbalance there between, I've murdered a busload of nuns on the one side and got a $500 credit or whatever. And I didn't, I sneezed on the other side and a 200,000 credit fine. And then also that ties back, I think, to what people were saying about the, I got all these Colonia missions, or just let's forget where the mission's at. Why is it that all of pretty much the on-foot missions have like a 6-hour timer to get it done, whereas most of your ship missions have like a full day or 2 days or 3 days, depending on the type of mission? Who wants to hop in on this one?
Yeah, I will real quick, because part of working BGS effectively is doing it as efficiently as possible. So in Horizons, like you said, it'll be a lot quicker. I can go assassinate a pirate in a matter of minutes as opposed to raiding a settlement and killing somebody down there, probably for a couple of reasons. I think one is I've already got all my ships built. They're all grade 5 engineered. I don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. And I've done it a gazillion times, so I know what I'm doing. But I think there's incentives to go do those other missions, even if it takes a little longer. One, we don't know how it's going to affect the influence. Maybe would be weighted so it affects it more than the others do anyways. But two, just like now, I go through the mission board, and not only do I look for time efficiency, I'm looking for engineering material rewards. And those are the missions that I take. And it'll be the same with the ground missions. If there's mat rewards, that'll give me incentive to go down and do those.
Right on. I see, Ben, you've got a comment on this, and then we're going to use the dot system, everybody, so we see. I think Astro had something after Ben.
Yeah, I completely agree with Tweaked here. There's so much, you just get so much more for doing the old Horizons missions. Like, my old favorites are sort of go down to a planet, scan a beacon in your ship, you don't even have to get out, escape before they blow you up, pay off your 200 credit fine at the local station, and that's like, what, 2.5-3 million credits, all the BGS associated rewards. And it's just, you want a reason to be playing the Odyssey stuff. And unless we get some kind of like massive multiplier on the BGS lever in Odyssey, if it's the credits part of it is just a joke.
Yeah.
Although I do have one thing I want to maybe add onto that. I went off and if you go off and like grab all the data, for example, that could be 200-300 credits of 300,000 credits just for waiting around for 60 seconds. So, that could be worth it.
Astro.
I think it is absolutely fine. We have to keep in mind that we are all 2-day noobs in Odyssey. None of us has fully upgraded weapons. None of us know how to upgrade our weapons correctly. What upgrades are the correct ones? I mean, some may already have unlocked most engineers, but there's a good chance that we don't even know what upgrades are even available for our weapons yet. And when it comes to making money, if you are a new player 2 days into Elite, if you had absolutely no third-party tools, you don't watch YouTube because the videos don't exist on Odyssey yet, and there's no third-party tools at all, you wouldn't be making millions an hour. You would be lucky if you made 100,000 an hour when you started out. And this is where we are in Odyssey right now. We are absolutely 2-day noobs, all of us. Yeah, we have some information from the alpha, but in broad lines, we have known nothing about Odyssey. And it's going to take a while before we learn. And I think as we begin to learn, we learn those sweet spots like, oh, if you take this specific type of mission and do this and that, then you can kind of make it work a little bit faster, or you can optimize it by doing that, or you can maybe you find this good, like that's this one spot somewhere maybe where you can stack missions in a good way, so you can just jump between them like 5 settlements on the same planet to really complete them fast. That kind of thing. That's gonna happen at some point. And and until then, we don't know anything about how balanced Odyssey is compared to grind levels, compared to money income. I mean, there's been just look at manufacturer instructions. I posted a video today, and I'm able to when I find the right spot, I'm able to farm 1 manufacturer instructions per minute.
Beautiful.
That's quite quick.
Absolutely.
So my point is just we need to learn, and until we have, we can't. I don't think that we can give a complete answer to how well balanced Odyssey is compared to Horizons, because we have to compare it to a brand new player.
That's an excellent point, and not only that, but looking at it from the other side, there's actually a joy. There's a funness to not knowing, to going in there and figuring it all out and whatever, as opposed to, I've done this all, I know how to do it, this is the quickest way, this is the most efficient, but it's like, it's less exciting. It doesn't give you the tingles. I'm going to throw out a PSA for everybody. Here's a little hint, and this, and then we're going to go to Chig, who's got a point. On the subject of like, here's a tip, here's a something that will help you be not as much of a noob, and this comes courtesy of Commander Dubs. If you're on one of those if you're in a settlement and like, let's say you've got some stuff on you you're not supposed to have, or you are in a place that you're sort of not supposed to be or whatever, and you know how it's like the guards, you're like, oh crap, a guard says halt, I've got to scan you, and you know that when he finishes that scan, okay, you're getting a fine and you're going to get shot at, and now stuff's going sideways. Pull a gun on him. If you pull a gun on the guard that says halt, he's going to scan you, the guard starts yelling at you, put your gun away. And when you do put your gun away, he forgets to scan you. The AI bugs out, and he just goes, all right, don't make me yell at you again for your gun, and then he just walks off. So there you go. There's a little tip to help all you guys out there digging around in settlements. Chig, your point.
That Dubs always comes up with things like that.
Oh, yes.
Well, the original point I was going to make has kind of been covered a little bit, but like Astro was talking about, we're all noobs again and everything else. And this is going to sound salty, but playing this game the last few days, my fear is with all the bugs that we're running into is I don't know why a new player would stick with this game with how frustrating it is at the moment. We're used to the learning curve in this game, and we know that you have to have patience and stuff. And that's what I keep reminding myself. I think back to, when I started this game thousands of hours ago, it was frustrating as hell. And we're the type of gamers that have gone through that. And we overcame that because we love the space, we love the immersion, we love all of that. My fear is the way that this launch is going, that we might bleed some players. As far as balance of missions, where my original point was I'm looking. I wish that they had a little bit of cross between ground missions and space missions as far as materials, rewards, things like that, because if you're playing on the ground and you want to get to space eventually, maybe running missions if you're really good at the ground to go try the space stuff, or vice versa, you should be able to take the path you want. Right now it really feels like 2 distinct games instead of one combined universe. That was the only point that I was going to make.
Good point. Tweaked.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up one point related to what you guys have been saying here. And this, to me, is the crux of why most of us on console are very disenchanted right now. And Astro, you said it, feeling like a noob is exciting again. And we're not going to get that on console. When this gets to us in 6 months, all of this stuff is going to be figured out. We'll be able to go on YouTube or to all of these different things, and all of this stuff we're going to know the best way to get all the maps. We're going to know the best way to build the weapons. It's all going to be there for us. And that really is That's the problem, though. That's the crux of
You're
the problem, I
welcome.
think, is because we don't want that. We want to experience the new ourselves. We want to have that excitement, and it's not going to be there. Sure, it'll be fun to be able to do this stuff, but that excitement of, geez, nobody knows how to do this, let's figure this out. It's different when you know all you have to do is pull up a YouTube video and it's all right there for you.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point.
Yeah, that is a very valid point.
Let me ask, who else came across the issue, the trit duplication issue, where basically you take tritium out of your cargo hold from your fleet carrier, put it on your ship, sell it to your fleet carrier, and now you have that tritium in your fleet carrier cargo hold, and it was not removed from your ship cargo hold. So I know there were a handful of people that in about 8 minutes of selling stuff, just ended up with a fleet carrier with 25,000 tons of tritium in it out of nowhere. Anybody else come across that one?
I
hope
was
it's gotta be
told
fixed
about
by
it.
now.
I was told about it by somebody. You know, being as into the community as we all are, we always have people telling us when these exploits and stuff are, and you know, we don't cover it on our show ever when these things happen, and I never touch them because I know Elite, they never ban people outright, but they do reverse that, and they'll take that from you at a later date. They have done that in the past, so I don't touch. That was an obvious exploit that I just wasn't going to touch.
I think it's been fixed, and I, at this point, want to make enough noise about it that exactly what you're saying. If there's somebody out there that got 25,000 tons of tritium, I think that could be adjusted.
Yeah, and let's say they did that, then they decided to go to Beagle Point, and now they'd end up stuck when they reverse it. You know,
That would
Just-
be funny.
don't do obvious exploits, people.
Has anybody come across? I've heard different reports. I've heard some people say that I shot a guy with the taser, the electric link, and it still killed him. And I've heard from other people, I shot him and it just pissed him off. It didn't kill him. Have you guys?
That's
Is
because
this
he's got his
inconsistent?
shields on. If he's got his shields on, it's going to tickle him a little bit, and he's going to, thank you very much for that. Now I'm going to shoot you in the face. On the other hand, if his shields are down, he's dead every time. Or if that's been my experience.
Yeah, I have confirmed taser kills as well.
Not in alpha. You're talking about in since launch.
Yeah.
Since launch, I've been doing I know I just said you're far better doing Horizons missions if you want the credits. I've been doing exclusively Odyssey missions because it's new. And I don't care about the credits per minute or whatever. I'm looking for new stuff.
And all right. And back to the dots. Who wants to hop in on this whole new crime and punishment system? I mean, it reads like Tolstoy's Crime and Punishment. It's like 50 pages long, and there's stuff in there that I think like, oh, that's kind of interesting. That's intriguing. That could be good. And there's other parts in there where I'm like, huh? And I can tell you right now, I can confirm on day one, and obviously this is, I think, either a bug or they just misspoke in how they put their crime and punishment announcement. But on day one, I had a situation where I wasn't paying attention. A guard said, halt for a scan. I didn't stop fast enough. I got a 200,000 credit fine and got shot by like 5 or 6 different guards. I was trying to not kill them because I wanted to sort of get away. I was hoping to not fail the mission. Well, that went sideways. But I was killed, sent to a prison ship, and what it says in the crime and punishment notes is that since my ship wasn't destroyed, that it would be waiting for me there at the prison settlement. Well, it wasn't. I had to pay for a taxi to go back to the planet to recover my ship, the planet where it was a failed mission anyway. So that was more time. That was frustrating. But who wants to get in on this, on the crime and punishment system? Things that you're interested in, things that you're confused by, things that you're like, what is this?
I will
down to
officially
earth.
pass.
I like the idea of the guards doing random scans. I think though, when they do ask you to stop, they could tweak that a little bit, like give the radius that they accept you to stop within, make that a little bit longer, give you a bit more time. I had a situation where I was running around a settlement, running around on the roofs, and there was a guard that I didn't spot. I was allowed to be there, so it's all good. But just as I come running over the edge, prepared to jump off the roof, he says, "Stop right there." In mid-air, I was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen now. And before I hit the ground, the whole settlement was shooting at me. So
that's hilarious.
That's a bit unfortunate. And those situations, of course, impossible to foresee for Frontier. But I still think it would be nice if they would extend it, or at least say that you have, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds of like grace time where you can move freely, and if you don't stop within 5 seconds, it could be something simple as if like within 5 seconds you need to stop, and then he will walk to you and do his scanning thing. But yeah, I think a little bit of tweaking there wouldn't hurt. But overall, I mean, I like the mechanics of having more that NPCs engage with you a little bit. That is not just they're walking around there with their guns and looking like they're dangerous.
I think also maybe they could tweak up, make it a little sort of louder on how much they ask for it, or have maybe a little flash across the screen, something just a little more for, because how many people play Elite while, you know, you've got Babylon 5 on the second screen or whatever. Like, it's a little more, hey, stop right now. Ben.
Yes, I agree. You know, they're too subtle about it. It's like, you know, excuse me, could you please stay where you are a second? You know, if you don't mind very much.
Yeah. See, the problem.
You want like the full-on military guard. Will you step away from the guard, sir? Kind of thing.
Yeah, the problem is that the settlement guards are British, and they're like, pardon me, can you please stop? Make them U.S. Marines. Get down now.
Have you seen the?
But she's a British company after all.
Yeah, you see the Queen's Guards when they're, you know, you step away from the guard stuff. You know, you ain't gonna mess with them either, buddy.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's hop to the next subject, which was a larger one, which Ben already started with, which was Planet Tech. We've seen things with Planet Tech. The Elite Racer community has been sort of very, very upset and have been very vocal in expressing that. Black Maze has out a pair of videos that really, really highlight some very problematic looking stuff. In addition to that, there's forum threads. There's been a lot of complaints. I found interesting Obsidian Ant's video on the subject because he said it's not that the Planet Tech is all bad. It's that it's very inconsistent. You go to one planet and it looks gorgeous and it's amazing and there's ridges and vistas and all kinds of stuff. You go to the next planet and it looks like a weird sort of, it looks like it's just carpeting. It's just flat and it's got this little sort of motley, you know, design to it, but it's real whatever. And he showed in his sort of investigation, looking at the details of the planet and this, that, and the other, it looks like the vistas, the sort of sky view, the sunsets and all, has been sort of applied on pretty much all the planets that it's supposed to. But the ground tech, the planet tech, maybe there's a bug, maybe there's some kind of a server hiccup, maybe there's something, but it's one planet looks amazing, exactly like what we thought we were getting out of Odyssey, where everybody was super happy. And then the next one looks way worse than Horizons. It's very, very hit and miss, which actually gives me a whole lot of hope, because I'm thinking, all right, if this is just a bug, this is just a whatever, inside of a couple of weeks or months when they fix it, the planets are going to be gorgeous. It's way less worrying than just the planet tech is no good. We're really, really mad. Ben.
If it's a bug, why don't Frontier come out and tell us, oops, we did an oopsie, we'll fix it, we promise. You know, they have to be aware that we're not happy.
That's hilarious, Ben. You're expecting communication from Frontier. Are you new?
It would be nice.
Yeah,
Don't they keep a known issue thread? I haven't kept up to date with it, but I don't know if they have anything about it in
I've
there.
not seen it there. You know,
Okay.
This should be number one. Guys, we know the planetary tech isn't appearing for all the planets. We're on it. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Yeah, it should be the first thing out of Arth's lips on Thursday when they fix the microphones.
100% agree. But I also know Frontier, so I'm not shocked. You know? Let's go with Astro, your whole whatever on it.
I lost track. Sorry.
On the Planet Tech.
Oh, overall, but I like it. I still think that the hard shadows on atmospheric-less planets could you? I mean, I would like to see some more ground scatter of light. When you are on atmospheric-less planets, it is very hard shadows, and I would expect there to be at least some sort of light bouncing off the surface. But I mean, it looks gorgeous. I don't know if any of you have been in close proximity to an Earth like, but if you have, go do it right now because oh my god, I mean, they look awesome, and I'm looking forward to going out and I mean, not just if we look away from the surface side, just going out and looking at the planets from orbit, going out, begin to explore, and we begin to see some of the variations of planets. I'm looking forward to that. There's when we're talking planet tech, I kind of have to mention the performance of it that I think could use a little bit, and they have acknowledged that. And I think we may get into that later. I think with a post from David himself. But overall, I think it's okay. Again, would like the lighting to be a little softer, but that may just be me.
Well, so that was actually in reference material down there. Let's go ahead and get to it now. Now's the perfect time.
Yeah, so the post from Braden.
Sure.
So I don't know if how many of you have been seeing. I think it was just yesterday that Braden posted a post where he mentioned that that like they are aware of a lot of these the issues that's been at launch, and also he mentioned specifically the stability issues, and he also mentioned about the performance, that is a thing they are looking into. I think it's interesting when Braben goes out and talk, then you know that it's something that is. I mean, when the CEO of the company is beginning to make forum posts, then you know it's something that's that they are very, very focused on. It's not just a developer team somewhere talking about in the daily scrum. This has a lot of attention at Frontier, I'm pretty sure. But I also have to give credit to Frontier for their prioritization post-launch. Because if you look at it from Frontiers, you can talk about whether Odyssey was ready for release and all that can be discussed in length. But if you look at it from the moment they click go on that and how they handle it from there, they started focusing on the connection issues and the server instabilities. Then now they've been focusing on hot fixing some of the more severe bugs. And then I would expect they're going to continue to do that. We still have a few in there. And then down the line, they're going to begin looking into performance. I absolutely agree with them that performance is a lower priority right now than connection issues or people losing their engineered modules or engineering materials. Because
100%.
I can live with fewer frame rates, but if I lose, I don't know, if I suddenly lost like a ship I might have spent 10, 20 hours on, that's gonna hurt. So absolutely, I think their prioritization so far has been pretty good, and I'm glad Braden made that post because it shows that this is something they have a lot of focus on.
Big Planet Tech, go.
Yeah, Planet Tech. I wonder how much of the Planet Tech stuff is just, the little graphical things that they're still working on. Like, if you go FSS and you look at an ice world, it blinds you. There's just graphical things that are weird. And right now, flying over planet, the surface clutter kind of comes in a little later than it should, and stuff. And some planets look really good. Some look like, garbage. I mean, I will agree the Earth-like worlds, there's definitely more depth when you look at them from space. But then again, that just makes me sad that I can't land on them. They did add a lot more cloud cover across the board, it seems. I mean, go look at Earth right now. It is one cloudy planet. I like where they're going with it. As far as what Astro was talking about, Braben making a statement, it's this weird line. It's like, am I super excited that Braben's communicating? Because that's all that we ask is, we want them to communicate more. We want them to communicate more. But when the CEO is making a public apology, it's like, whoa, things must be bad. I don't know if it gives the right, public image that they want to do. But then again, like I said, I'm torn on that one. I'm glad that he made a statement, and I'm glad that they're acknowledging that they're working on all of the issues. This really feels like this game. It feels like beta stage right now, and that's a lot of people are saying they're taking that mindset. Well, this is beta until console launch. Well, I wish that we would have known that, and then it would be a different story. This couple weeks ago they came out and said that the alpha was a branch off the main trunk, so that really gave us hope that things were going to be super, way better than it was. And it feels like the alpha. I think a couple month beta would have been really, really nice, or just letting us know that this was the state we were getting. Once again, I apologize for the salt. Moving on.
All right. I 100% agree with that with regard to the David Braben statement. It's like when David is making comments in the thread, and of the nature of which he did, it's like, okay, yeah, there's definitely some concern or whatever in the community. And I honestly, I think I thought it was a good statement that he made. B, I think that just having David Braben talk directly on a subject buys you a certain amount of love, and I think that that's great. And C, I think that basically that's damage control, because day one everybody's setting their hair on fire because they've forgotten how MMO works, and they say it's not good, and I've had it for 12 hours, so I'm going to go ahead and leave a review on how it's horrible. And it's kind of like, I think that's damage control of like, hey guys, everybody relax, we're working on it, we're gonna keep working on it. So I'm a huge fan of having David address things, and I thought that his statement was great. Tweaked, the Planet Tech and the David Braben statement.
Yeah, the Planet Tech, aside from FPS, the Planet Tech was probably their biggest attraction for Odyssey, and maybe the biggest for a good portion of the player base. Mm-hmm. The fact that it either isn't as good as we thought, or it's probably more just not working correctly right now at release is a little disappointing. That being said, I still believe the Planet Tech is Dr. K's speciality, so to speak. It's her baby, and she sees what's happening. She's not going to allow it to continue. She's going to be working with the devs to make sure it's all functioning properly. This is one of those things, I think in 3 months or 6 months, it's going to look totally different than it does today. David Braben, it's always good to hear from David Braben. And I kind of disagree on this regard. I don't feel like him coming out and speaking is crisis management. I don't think it's panic time, because Elite Dangerous is David Braben's baby. David Braben's baby. Say that
3 times fast. Yeah.
David's baby.
I mean, this is his creation from all the way back in the late 70s, early 80s to its release in 84 and so on. This is his passion. And he sees what's going on with it. He sees there's issues. He knew there was going to be issues. As we've said, any MMO on a launch is going to have a whole lot of issues, and especially one like Elite Dangerous that has 100 different moving parts with all the different systems that have to interact with each other, with BGS and security states and bounty hunting and exploration and all that kind of stuff that have to work together. This is a complicated beast that they're trying to put together. So see him come out and say, we're working on this and we're working on that's good. It's good to see Lord Braben come out and speak to us again. Communication is good.
I want to circle back to Ben because we sort of expanded this topic after he got his point and he only talked about the Planet Tech. Do you have anything you want to add with regard to David Braben's post?
Yeah, I completely agree with Treat that it's brilliant to hear from David again. But David is like the nuclear option for Frontier Developments to wheel out. You know, he is the big gun. And for him to be wheeled out, it must really be going down. You just look at how few posts he's made publicly over the past, since Horizons even came out. For years I'm not going to say he's been incommunicado, but he's not exactly been chattering away on the forums either. Are we going to cover Thursday's stream at all? Because it was lovely seeing him and hearing him talking about his personal experiences in open with other people. Excellent. Are we? Oh, you mean
yes,
you want me to hit it now? So yeah, it was lovely hearing, what we all know, that he does play Elite Dangerous as, I think it's Commander Braben, and he plays in open. He can be seen, he can be found. And I was delighted to hear that he loves the ASP, because as an ASP explorer, I'm as an ASP explorer lover, without trying to say that 3 times, it's brilliant. It's lovely to hear him, and I love that he likes it for the sound, because I'm exactly the same with that. And it was nice to see he's getting this feedback. He made a public apology to a guy for I really honestly wasn't pulling out my network cable. The game crashed on me. I thought that was hilarious. And his real life experiences are brilliant. And I bet you they get fed into the community team, and I bet you they get listened to. But for him to come out and say all these things, which had to be said, that's a nuke.
All right. Now I'm going to ask you, do you think the planetary tech, like the thing that, like, hey, the planetary tech is actually good, this is just a bug, it's not being rendered right, whatever. Do you agree with sort of my assessment on that? Or are you like, actually, it might be the underlying, I guess what I'm going to ask, and I'm going to go around to everybody for just a 1-word answer. Do you think the planetary tech is a problem a month from now? Yes or no?
No,
Ben?
It's a bug.
Okay.
No, it's a bug.
Astro?
No.
All right. And do you have anything you want to add on the Thursday stream real quick?
No.
All right. Tweaked. Planetary tech. Is it just a bug?
Nope.
Your thoughts on the
just
stream
a
on
bug. It'll
Thursday?
be fine. The stream was okay. There was nothing new. It was good to see Braben out there. They were kind of excited. It was good. But no, I think the Planet Tech will be much better in a month or so.
Chig, a month from now, planetary tech.
2 months from now, it'll be perfect.
All right. Awesome. Okay, cool. I wanted to get everybody real quick there. We're moving around on the points here. We're playing this fast and loose, but I dig it. I think it's good conversation. The next point I want to bring up sort of goes to what Astro said very, very recently. He just said that, no, I think it might have actually been Chig's point. Sorry. That it's like they were telling us, hey, don't worry, guys. We're way farther along than you think we are. Pre-alpha, it was, hey, guys, yes, you guys saw this settlement walkthrough thing that we did, this little super secret ninja squirrel mission that we did where we went and turned off the power on a base. But don't worry, it's way, way farther than you think it is. That's old stuff that you just saw. And we were all like, oh, okay. That's weird. Why would you show us? Okay, whatever. And then come alpha, we did it, and people were saying, like, this does not seem like it's a game that's ready in 2 months, 3 months, whatever. And through the whole process, everybody was sort of saying, this seems way farther back in the development cycle than we would think that it is based on the things that they're saying. And they came out on the stream on that Thursday before Odyssey Alpha 4 and said, don't worry, guys, that's a branch that's, I don't know, we showed you something 10 years old because reasons. We got way better now. It's going to be, don't worry. And okay, that's weird and whatever, but okay. And people were holding out hope. And then they're like, oh, and by the way, we're releasing this thing like, 2 weeks after the alpha ends. No beta tests, no anything. And it's like, wait, what? And everybody was kind of like, wait, what? And oh, don't worry. It's way farther along than you think it is. Well, what I said was going to happen happened. Come May 19th, people see exactly how far along they are, and the good, the bad, and the ugly of that. Me personally, I'm kind of calling BS on the whole idea of that they were way farther along than we thought they were, because I think they were pretty much exactly where I thought they were. But having said that, MMOs release buggy as all hell. They're a dumpster fire in the first week. Kinda, if you don't know that, like, you're new, what's going on? Like, this is how they release. I find it disgusting, but this is the new normal in the games development sphere. I think 2 months from now, things are going to be really, fairly decent on all of the outstanding bug issues pretty much that we mentioned with the planetary tech and whatever. I have other concerns that are that's the next topic we're going to get to, but I think that most of the open issues that we just talked about are going to be sort of fixed in 2 months. I think they did themselves a great disservice with managing expectations when they kept saying over and over, we're way farther along than you think we were, because they were exactly where I thought they were. Astro.
I mean, I think it is. I had a hard time when they said they were like months ahead. I don't know how many. I mean, I don't know how much else I was expecting, to be honest. I know it's a difficult one. I think. I mean, I wasn't expecting Odyssey to come out and be perfect, bug-free, everything working on the first try. Everything was just like, yeah, we're done. Everything's just good to go. I mean, we're expecting bugs. Of course there would be bugs. There's always bugs, and there's bugs in Elite, there's bugs in any other game that comes out these days. Since games have been distributed over the internet and not comes on a hard-burned CD, then games comes out with bugs now, and then they're gonna get fixed. But the whole we're way further ahead, the whole kicking the can down the road thing. Yeah, I think a lot of things has happened right up until the launch. I think there has been things that they have been changing right up until like almost the day before, I think, where they thought, okay. I mean, when they said that they were way further ahead than we think, I'm not even sure that they were 100% sure what would be in the update and what would be able to make it and what wouldn't be able to make it in terms of bug fixes. Or content-wise, I'm pretty sure they had that spot on. But they absolutely had a list of bugs, and I think for Frontier, they had a date in mind where they wanted to launch, and that date was before the end of May. And they were basically just have a prioritized list of bugs they wanted to fix, and they're just going to start from the top, and they began fixing. And they said, when we hit May 19th, then that's how much we are going to release, and then we will take the rest afterwards. It seems that's the way that it's been done.
It's kind of hilarious when you compare and contrast Star Citizen for Elite. Star Citizen is, you guys, you're going to get it in about 10 years. We're going to be super precious with this. Elite is YOLO. We're releasing now. We'll finish it later. Tweaked.
Yeah. Not even looking at the bugs. One of my first thoughts when I first started looking at Odyssey when it dropped was that, and I thought about that comment they made in that Alpha is a branch of the game and the real game is much further along. And then I'm looking at Odyssey last Wednesday and thinking to myself, well, other than maybe a little bit better planet tech every now and then, it looks exactly like the alpha. So I don't know how much further along they were, which, again, communication, truth, that kind of thing, I have to question these days. But all in all, I just keep going back to the point that what is in the game now is mostly playable, bugs and things that are going to get fixed. And it's a spectacular base to build upon.
Right on. Well said. Ben.
So what I think they've gone off and added to the game is a load more variety of settlements and things like that. So a lot more variety of settlements, a lot more variety of mission types. What they didn't address was the elephants in the room. Like, why does this work? What's happening with the galaxy map? What's happening with FPS? What's happening with planets? And that's what we were expecting them to have fixed, with them being months ahead of where we thought they were. What they were actually doing was building up all these other settlements and adding all the variety that we also were noticing. Although I haven't seen that much variety on the layout of stations, unfortunately.
Ben, are you suggesting that they weren't farther along than you thought they were?
I think that they had their own definition of further along than maybe other people assumed they did.
Lawyered. Chig, you're up.
For me, the bugs were to be expected. Like I said, on launch day, I didn't expect the servers to be up as soon as they were and everything else. But I think most of this is still just they put themselves in a box wanting to get it out, by a certain date, and wherever it was at, they just needed to get it out. They couldn't delay any longer, and that's the biggest issue we're running into. The most unfortunate thing for me still, and always will be, is just how fragmented they've made the entire community. We've never had crossplay, fine, but now we've got, CQC's even divided between Horizons and Odyssey, which is just mind-boggling to me. So you want to play CQC, you log into Horizons first, can't get a match, let's check Odyssey. Okay, let's go back to Horizons. And it's always been hard to find a match. Now it's even harder. Now we've got, Horizons unable to instance with Odyssey, as well as unable to instance with PS4, as well as unable to instance with Xbox. That's my biggest disappointment with this whole thing. I almost wish that they would have been able to just delay the whole thing again and launch us all together as one whole community when consoles launched. And I know people hate to hear another delay, but it would have made me feel way better than this if they would have just launched a beta. And maybe that has to do with the fact they did pre-sales when they did, so they had to release something. If they hadn't done pre-sales, maybe they could have delayed again and said, we're opening beta up on May whatever date this thing came out, 19th, and then we'll release the full game later, and maybe a certain amount of progress could move in. I don't know what they could have done. I don't work for them, but there's just things that they could have done. I just hate how the community right now can't all play together.
And I mean, while we're talking about fracturing the community, if they were to take an extra couple of months, they also could have, here's a thing that I don't hear anybody really mentioning anymore. It's sort of gone quiet. But yes, we have fractured the community between PC players and consoles. We have also fractured the community a good chunk here between VR players and non-VR players. And I know that they're a small portion of the community, but they have been evangelists for the game Elite Dangerous since the start. They have been a very rabid fan base that has been very loyal to the game and has, the game, it's been a great relationship up till now. And I feel like there's some fracturing that's going on between, it's not just a matter of we're separated. It's that people are sort of turning on each other, and you're seeing VR people and non-VR people sort of argue at each other, and you're seeing PC players and console players sort of argue at each other, where, and it's like, I think we as commanders need to all have compassion for each other, for our fellow commanders. And if you want to have, nitpicks or things that you want to sort of, hey, I don't like this because of this, let's address them at the $2 billion plus company. Let's not address them at the, the other guy that we're supposed to, let's have some solidarity and compassion for each other as commanders. Which takes us to things that we're concerned about for the future. I'll open this topic up and say, for me,
can I with a
go ahead.
A quick comment on the fracturing. I think I'm just thinking the situation Frontier has been in, because I am absolutely sure that the release day of Odyssey was a political decision and not a technical decision. So this is not a question of somebody has asked the developer teams and said, when is Odyssey ready? And they have said May 19th. This is a question of a management team that said, we need this to launch May 19th, and then the developers had to finish as much as they can. And if you look at it from that point of view, that they have basically had a launch day almost, quotation mark, forced upon them. And you sit there as a team and say, we cannot, there's something has to give. This is, we cannot have PC, we cannot have console, we cannot have this working by end of May. So what are we gonna do? So they had to make a decision. If they can't delay, then what do? You have to begin to cut stuff out. And in this case, what they cut out was console crowds. And I wish they didn't have to do that. I can understand why they would be, as from a technical perspective, why they would be forced to do it, because after all, there is only 24 hours in a day, and there are only so many developers working on Elite. So I would have, I mean, if we look away from the political side of it, I would have preferred if Odyssey had gone into a beta phase now. We've been running a beta phase that's been like a bit like the alpha phase, where they would test some things, then would enable a few more things, and we test a bit again, and then let's all get the full release on console and PC at the same time in autumn. That would, for me, have been the absolutely preferred option. But I think they've done it like this because I think it was important for them to get Odyssey released in this financial year, and I believe that their financial year ends in the end of May. I think this is why. And this is why the launch day for Odyssey, I think, was a political decision, not a technical decision. And as a developer, I can tell you that there is a huge number of developers, like the guy who write the code, the guy who makes the 3D models, the guys that does all that stuff, sitting in Frontier, who is as frustrated as we are. I'll promise you that, because I know
More so.
more so. I work as a developer myself, and I sometimes also get a dictated deadline, say this is done by then. And even though you say that's fine, it's cute that you sit as a manager and think that we can deliver something just because you say we can deliver it by that day, but that's not how the world works. And I know how frustrating that can be. So I was just, it's not because they have incompetent developers that don't know what they're doing. It's just because they have been on a very, very tight deadline, and something had to give eventually, and that was unfortunately the console crowd in this case.
I 100% agree with you, and I want to get a round of here's from everybody on the panel. I am 100% feeling that the developers of Elite Dangerous are amazing, and the work that they do, the technical ability that they have, and the dedication that they have to their craft, I think is unquestionable, in my opinion. The management team of Elite Dangerous is a little more on the hit and miss side. They make some calls that I look at and I'm like, I mean, whatever. I'm a Marine sitting here talking to you from his living room, so what do I know? But like, there's calls that they make that maybe make business sense, but to me feel, oof, that I don't like that call. But none of the criticism I feel should be aimed at the developers themselves. It's all of my criticisms with regard to the company is more on the management side. Let's go around. We'll start with Ben and Tweak. Let's get some here's on that.
Yeah, speaking as a developer myself, there's a reason why Dobut's manager is known as the pointy head boss. And there's a reason why the evil HR director is the evil HR director.
Well said.
These guys are the developers. I know a few of them personally. Awesome guys. We know you hate this as much, if not more than we do, as Astro said.
I'd be willing to bet a good chunk of them have been running themselves ragged coding
God,
all
yeah.
night and whatever, trying to
Mhm.
meet as best they can an impossible deadline that was imposed upon them. Tweet.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah, I will agree with that. I love these developers. I've been on record as saying Dr. K, Davstar, these people, what they have created to this point is spectacular. But I don't necessarily want to give them a free pass either. I'm not a developer. But I know since I've been playing Elite Dangerous, all I've been hearing, and mind you, that's been 3-4 years or so now, all I've been hearing is no, we can't put any new content in the game because we're working on this next big thing. And then this next big thing got delayed, and it got delayed, and it got delayed, and it got delayed, and I'm still waiting for it, and you guys have what you have now. So while I do think it's management that rushed this out, and Astro, I think you said it perfectly. It's a management thing. It was the end of the fiscal year is coming. They had to have a release date to get paid. They needed that money, but I don't totally want to. I'm not saying they weren't trying to do something, and I know what they're trying to do is very intricate and complicated, but it's been a long time coming, and we're still waiting.
Chig.
I just, I know I'm very critical of what they've put out and all of that, and I 100% agree. The fiscal year thing, they were pushing to get this out, but a lot of this, I think, is the gaming industry as a whole. They just don't know how, they start getting close and they think they've got a product, and then, the bean counters start looking, oh my God, this is starting to look good. You can have this done in a couple months or 6 months, and game development just seems to be taking longer than ever. And there's so many moving pieces they're dealing with that they struggle to get it out by a target date because the unforeseen things that come up. They change this, it causes issues over here. They change that, causes issues over there. And then you threw in 2020, the giant dumpster fire that it was, and people trying to work from home, so they added this whole other layer of stuff. So I want to cut them slack, but then again, as a consumer, they're telling us that they're going to be putting out this product and they're selling it as this thing. So I'm always torn as to, do I forgive this? How do I limit my frustrations with what I'm trying to do in game right now, which is, there's excitement and it's fun that it's new, but it's also, as I'm playing, I'm like, if I didn't have as much invested in this game as I do, would I be trying to struggle through this, or would I just come back in 6 months? And that's where I'm torn. But honestly, I just think the gaming industry as a whole needs to come to grips with the fact that these game developments take time.
Well said. That takes us to our next point. Concerns for the future. Now, me personally, as I've just said, all of the things we've talked about, I think the Planet Tech, I think the maps, the UI, the little bugs here and there, I think those are gone I think it's vastly more playable in 30 days. I think those problems are pretty much gone in 60 days, and it's optimized way better in 90 days. Here's what I'm concerned about for the future. They brought in a new game developer, lead developer, Pierce Jackson, who is he's a looter shooter background guy. Like that's that's where he comes from. That's his pedigree. And I'm seeing choices made in Odyssey that are shooter focused and are sort of abandoning the science, abandoning the sort of higher thoughtfulness that we had, I feel, in the original Elite Dangerous. Some examples of that, real brief, are 0G stations that aren't 0G, that there's just stuff laying around and people drinking out of open glasses. And it's like, guys, come on. The art team could have put some stuff in here and made this a little more art looking as something like, yes, we are walking around on our grav boots and everything is strapped down and we're drinking out of squeezy bottles, the Expanse style. A little effort could have gone there, and it just didn't happen. And we're seeing space cowboys running around on airless moons in a cowboy hat with no helmet. And it's like, guys, this is hallowed ground. This is Braben's baby. What are we doing here? What I really, really want, and maybe I'm wrong in this concern, maybe I'm overly being nitpicky or whatever, and they'll get to it and whatever. But I really, 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 really hope that what we see in the coming 6 months to a year as this sort of fleshes as they flesh out Odyssey is, I need to see more NASA, more Star Trek. Star Trek's a good balance because Star Trek has some shooty, but it also has times where you're just sitting around trying to figure out what's up with this rock or this plant, or there's a geyser going on. What's going on here? I want more trucking stuff, like more mining on planet side. I want more working towards like ship interior and some sciencey stuff and plant scanning and whatever. And not all of this is going to in the next 6 months, but my concern is that I don't want to see them spend the next 6 months to a year saying, we put out another patch focusing on this shooter stuff. Hey guys, we got battle royale mode. Hey guys, we got this, we got that. My concern is focus less on shooter, more on science. Let's turn it over to Ben first.
Now, I do have a potential answer for the problem with drinks in 0G. So, they were doing some research down in Stirling Colony, and, obviously, it's a Scottish station. They're drinking Iron Brew all the time. They realise their drinks ain't floating away. So now, all the drinks on outposts are all based off of an iron monohydroxide base rather than a pure water-based drink.
Okay, so memes aside, 0.5.
Hey, I had to work for that. Come on.
Okay. We got a half hour left on the clock. Things you're concerned about for the future.
Okay, real things I'm concerned about. As we said, you've said about the outposts, which are, as you know, I am deeply concerned about. It feels like Elite has gone a bit schizophrenic. You've got the looty stuff, and that's all fine, and it's its own fun little game sitting over there. We've got the sciencey awesomeness of what the planets could, should, and will be, I hope. And that's good science. We love that. Then you've got the what the hell is the art department playing at with regards to this is 0G. Then you've got the orbit stations, which, from back in the day, which were actually calculated to be the correct, to be good gravity levels for walking around in the appropriate environments. There's so many design decisions that have taken place in Odyssey that just leave me scratching my head and thinking, with even 10 minutes of effort, you could have rationalized this into something that makes sense, and you didn't bother. And it's baked in now.
Good point. Chig, your concerns going forward.
Like Ben just said, just some of the design decisions make me concerned about the vision of the design team. I mean, making menus actually more complicated and stuff. But then I seem wishy-washy today, but then I can see where they're going with it. They started to make it better, but they just didn't go all the way. But my biggest concern going forward is honestly player retention. If they don't get this stuff fixed fast, how many people just move on to other games? Like, I didn't like Cyberpunk a whole lot, and with the issues early on, I got 2-3 hours in and I haven't played it again just because I'm like, it was more of a pain to play than I was having fun, so I just quit playing it and I haven't been back. So that's my concern. If Odyssey actually attracted new players, that I feel sorry for new players, but that's all I got.
Good point. Astro.
So now, of course, they're focused a lot on the combat side of on-foot gameplay. And I hope we're gonna see more gameplay loops added to the on-foot side. I am a little afraid that they're gonna take the quote unquote easy solution when it comes to adding danger into those and say danger equals NPCs that shoot at you. Because always having combat be the solution to adding difficulty or danger into a situation, that is not always the best solution. Like, they've done some cool things, I think, with the I think the core mining asteroids now do a little bit more damage. I don't know if that's carried over. I haven't tested that. But stuff like that, like make the environment dangerous. I like that, and I hope they're gonna do more of that in the future. They could easily have added danger into exploration as well. Like some plants may, like if you poke them too much, they may like spur out acid in your face or something like that. What do I know?
I mean, yeah, that goes back to the NASA saying somebody made where in space everything wants to kill you. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Put some danger there.
Yeah, put some danger in the game on the on-foot side that doesn't necessarily has to do with people trying to shoot a bullet through your helmet. And then add that to some additional game loops, looking at mining, looking at more exploration, looking at salvaging ships for materials, stuff like that. Like you go up, you try to cut a door open, and the other side turned out to still be pressurized in a ship, and the whole thing blows out in your face, or something like that. Something like that. That would be really cool to add some dangers like that. And again, I get that I get why, if they had to choose one thing, why they then went with combat, because it looks good and it sells. But I just hope that it's not going to be the only thing they're going to be focusing on.
This is really interesting. Of everyone on the panel, I feel like pretty much everyone paraphrased some aspect of schizophrenic design decision and less shooty, more everything else. Now let's go to Tweaked, who I think has a very specific viewpoint on fears of Odyssey going forward. Go ahead, Tweaked.
Yeah, I've got a few. First of all, I would call it fear of them always taking the easy way out, so to speak, quote unquote. And that includes the lazy design of the pizza boxes on the floor in a zero-G station. That includes the blue sphere at the bottom of the ramp instead of at the top of the ramp, so you can at least walk up the ramp and go in. That includes the Instagram filters of the large space stations where there's really no difference other than colors. That kind of stuff scares me for the future of what's to come in Elite Dangerous. On a grander scheme, kind of like what Chig was saying, and I said it last night on Elite Week, if Odyssey falls on its face, if this burns, if this crashes, it could be the beginning of the end for Elite Dangerous, and that terrifies me because I do love this game. As much as I've been cynical of late and as bored as I am of the base game, just because I've done everything there is to do, literally, in this game, I still love this game, and I don't want it to disappear.
Well
on a slightly smaller scale, I'm already watching it closely, but I'm going to continue watching how they treat consoles. Everybody tried to tell me years ago that we were, quote unquote, the redheaded stepchildren, that PC always got favored, and boy, has it shown its ugly head now. And that's after they came out a year, 2 years ago, and made the statement that all further updates would be released at the same time on PC and consoles. So I'll be watching how that goes in the future too.
Very, very well said. That takes us to our next point, which is things that we love about Odyssey. We've mentioned our concerns, and we do this for the purpose of helping people to express whatever, but at the same time, there's some awesome new stuff here. So let's get into it. Chig, you're up.
I'm going to be really lame with this, and I'm just going to go with a stock answer I have when it comes to this game all the time. I just like the fact that they added stuff to the game. It's an entire galaxy they're trying to fill, and every time they add something, I'm super happy. But also every time they add something, it's never going to be enough. So I mean, like right now, I go to a planet now that there's a lot more POIs to drop down on, and you can find engineering mats. You might find God knows what. You might start getting shot at, everything else. There's just more to the galaxy. So if you're not, watching all the videos and all that stuff, there's more stuff to discover. And that's what I like about this game. And that's my favorite thing. I don't have anything specific right now that I can say that I really like. I've always been vocal. I wanted atmospheric landings, true atmospheric landings, not these light atmosphere. I never even really wanted space legs added to the game, other than the fact that it would make ship interiors feasible. But I'm just happy that they continue to develop the game, and I just hope that, as Tweaked said a second ago, this isn't them jumping the shark. If this fails, it could, definitely shorten the life of the entire game. I'm hoping that this is just another stepping stone to them adding more. Period.
All right. Chig, you get a penalty. This was the things that we like subject, and you were a downer, so you have to take 2 shots. Ben, you're up.
What I've done in Odyssey, I've enjoyed. You can't say any better than that, really, can you? Yeah, I acknowledge all the issues, but what I've done, it's been fun. Yeah, and so I'll take that as a win, won't you?
Absolutely. Tweet things that you like from the stuff that you've seen. What are you seeing that you're like, oh, I dig this, I dig that. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, one of the problems I'm having playing the game currently is I'm tired of playing from menus. And everybody used to say, oh, Elite Dangerous is just a menu scrolling screen game. And I used to argue it all the time. But now I'm tired of landing, going to my menu, taking off. Landing, going to my menu, taking off. I love watching you guys get out of your ships, walk around the station, go talk to somebody, get a mission, fly down to a planet, get out of your ship, run around, look at this cool little biological, go shoot somebody. I love the fact that the pew-pew stuff does look fun to me. I'm going to enjoy that when I get to, I believe. I love the variety that this is going to bring. And all the problems that we've pointed out, I still contend everything that we've pointed out today on this, it's all fixable. It's all stuff that in 3 months could totally be off the board and everything's running great. I'm excited for what's coming if they continue to update it and build upon it.
I vanish.
Yeah. Did we lose someone?
So sorry. I hit the mute button when I was cracking a beer. Astro, things you love about Odyssey.
I think my favorite thing in Odyssey so far has been the new graphics, because you can talk a lot about whether whether that thing is broken or that thing is broken. But as I've been flying around the last couple of days, I have been absolutely enjoying looking at all the new planet tech, taking a look at the beautiful atmospheres, and I mean, my rate of screenshots has increased significantly in the last 2 days.
Right
and
on.
if that is not a if that's not a positive side, I don't know what is. It looks amazing, and I'm right now I'm torn between I want to play with all the new engineers. I want to upgrade my suits. I want to upgrade my weapons, but I kind of also just want to go, you know what? I'm gonna jump over on my exploration alt, and I'm just gonna fly into space somewhere, and I'm gonna begin looking at planets and look at all the new stuff we can find out there and do some exploration. There's too much to do, and I like it.
Well said. All right, I'm bringing up the rear on this one. Things I love about Odyssey. All right, right off the bat, I love, as Astro just said, all of the new possibilities. I think that this is such a massive step forward in expanding the possibility of the scope of what you can do. You have now, a whole extra layer of things that you can do. Yes, that layer is feeling a little empty just at start, but I think that what we've seen with Elite Dangerous throughout its history is it starts as minimum viable product, and then they iterate and they iterate and they add stuff and they add stuff and they add stuff. I think when we first saw space stations, there was just like 2 types, and then they expanded over the years, and now there's a whole bunch of different types of space stations. When we first saw, when they first had dropped Odyssey, there was or not Odyssey, Elite, the vanilla, there was like 10 ships, whatever, and then they added whatever. they're going to continue to add what we can do, and I'm excited for the non-shooty stuff to get filled out. I'm excited for tinkering. I'm excited for, someday landing on a planet and going to a wrecked ship, and it's not just there's an SRV that's crashed there and you cut 2 panels that are the size of a lunchbox and take out the 3 things each, but I want to be like, what was the little girl in the Star Wars movie? I want to be like Rey, whatchamacallit, where at the beginning she's like crawling around in a wreck and you're trying to pull out a piece without it exploding on you or breaking or crashing and killing you and all of that stuff. I want very cool interactions with plants and rocks, mineralogy and biology and animal life on planet. I want stuff that's going to continue, and honestly, you can't get there, to Chig's point about like, hey man, I want like more stuff, not just light atmospheres. I agree with you. I want that too, but you can't get there from here. You have to start in the it's like you have to go to step 2 and then step 3 and then step 4. And I see this as a next step, a barren step that's feeling a little empty at the moment and a little janky, but that can get filled out and can have cool stuff. I like the fact that all of the NPCs don't look like they just fell out of the ugly tree anymore. Every last NPC used to look like Chester the Molester, and now it's like, oh, that looks like a decent human being that I would not be absolutely terrified to be in an elevator with. I like just not knowing everything. I like that it does feel like a new game. And it's a buggy new game, but in a month or 2 months when it's not buggy anymore, I like the idea that it's like there's new stuff to discover and to experience for the first time. I love all of that, and so yeah, I'm super hopeful for a bunch of that. Things that we hope for. I would love to see just even little touches, like you got all of these little tiny shoebox stations or whatever that are like the ones that that you have the outside windows, the little shoebox station, and then you have these gorgeous new planets that you can show off that we've seen, like LAVE. Ben was posting pictures in the chat. LAVE, it looks so gorgeous. Hey, let's use some common sense and aim the windows at those planets so that we can say like there's something pretty to look at, instead of just it's aimed out into space. You see darkness, like stuff like that. I would like them, as I said, to continue to flesh out all the sciencey bits. I would really love crossplay. Let's unite for realsies our communities and get Xbox and PlayStation and PC players together. I would love for them to focus, to do a roadmap and to say that when we're going forward with things, we're going to be focusing on ship interiors, and we're going to be focusing on continuing the atmospheric landing spectrum. If David Braben came out and just said that, not even tied to any dates, just as a general, here's where we're looking at going in the future, oh my God, I would die of happiness. Ben, go.
So I've been saying for 6 years now, I guess. Yeah, my dream for Elite Dangerous is Grand Theft Auto in space. This has been one small step. We have got so many more to go. And even my personal next thing would be I want us to be able to get up and walk around our ships. And I will accept walking up the ladder and opening my door as a first step to that first step.
Beautiful. Chig, what do you want?
I want it all. I mean, we've got a whole galaxy. I mean, seriously, I just, what did I write down in my notes here? I want more module storage. That's all I want.
All right. That's it. Hey, that's beautiful. I'm going to drink to that. Everybody drink to that. Astro, give us a nice, long, just rambling thought. You're pretty much about as smart as everybody else in the panel put together. Let's have some beautiful stuff. Go for it.
So Adding adding more gameplay loops, as we already talked about. We have the combat now. We have some salvaging. I think there's definitely room for more things to happen. And as I see it, Frontier could go in two directions now with Elite going forward. Either they say, okay, we got 10 years atmosphere, done deal, check mark. They can either begin to focus on adding stuff like ship interiors and add to the stuff they have, or they can begin to look in towards adding more planets you can land on. Personally, I think there's more exciting stuff in going in the direction of ship interiors. So for the two directions I can see Frontier go from here, I hope on a larger scale, that's where we're heading for now. And I know ship interiors is going to be years down the road, if ever, from here. This is not something we're going to get in 6 months. That's not going to happen. This is going to be way, way down the road. But on the like shorter term, I would like to see more gameplay loops, and especially gameplay loops that doesn't involve a gun, mainly.
I kind of love you. Do I have to start hitting people with sticks, or am I going to hear from some people here on let's get some crossplay up in here? Hop in, anybody, talk.
Yeah. For me personally, what I want to see coming, game loops. Yeah, absolutely, more game loops. Keep filling in what we've started to build with Odyssey. So keep building Odyssey to be what we thought it was going to be, a year ago or whatever. But the next two big things that come to Elite have to be ship interiors and crossplay, and probably not in that order. It has to be crossplay. There are so many games that I can play on Xbox that are crossplay with at least PC, and many of them all 3 platforms. So there's no reason that they can't do this with Elite Dangerous, and it's time. It's time to bring these communities together. I'm tired of not being able to go walk into Meredith City and see you guys at the bar, or go help in your CZs, or just go freaking shoot goids and bugs with you guys or something. It's time for this kind of stuff to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think I made my position clear on that earlier when I just think the fracturing of the community is bad, and if we can all be one giant community, crossplay is essential for that. So that to me is number 1, 2, and 3 priority, is to make this a single unified galaxy for all of us, because one of the biggest complaints is always, it seems empty, I don't run into regular players, other players and all that. So if we can get everybody in the same galaxy all playing together, it's just better across the board. So that is absolutely where I stand.
Ben. You're muted, Ben.
Or he might have had to run.
Right on.
So.
All right. So let's, I feel like that's taken us to sort of the end of the hour. We're going to wrap it up now. I'm going to go around the board and give everybody an opportunity to give a closing thought. Let's start with you, Astro.
Hold on, I'm killing a guy.
Okay.
Messed it up. Sorry, I'm ready now. Overall, I would have liked to think. I think Odyssey could have used a month more in development before going live. I'm happy with what we have. There's a few bugs I really want to see squashed, but overall, I think I'm having fun. That's at least. Oh, we're getting shot at. Sorry.
They said the Europeans were like, gentle and non-violent. I'm like, your closing thoughts. Hold on, I got to murder this guy real quick. Tweet your closing thoughts.
Yep, I have faith. Like when Horizons got released and it was a little bare bones, and they've kept sprinkling things in and adding to it through the years. I have belief that they're going to do the same thing with Odyssey, and I'm excited to see what is to come. I believe it can still be good. I believe it'll get to console. It'll be good. Everything will be right. And as I said, down the line, I think they're going to give us some good things. I hope that we start seeing the different atmospheres and that kind of stuff as we've all thought was the plan in the beginning.
Big.
I just, I know I sound like a downer a lot on a lot of this stuff, but I just want people to have patience. I'm trying to be patient myself. I mean, we played last night, a few of us over at Loose Screws, and we struggled with a lot of things, and the frustration levels got high to where I was like, I need to just take a break. It just launched. I just need to stop, because why keep trying to push through frustration? I just want nothing but the best for this game, because I love this game, and I hope that they keep doing these fixes, keep getting the bug fixes, fix some of these design decisions they did, and not all of them I can lay on them. Maybe it's just because of familiarity. I don't like the changes they've made, but I don't understand why something used to take 1 or 2 clicks, now it takes 4, 5, 6 clicks. You know, they seem to overcomplicate while trying to simplify, and that bugs me. But I am really going to work on being patient, and hopefully these things get fixed, and that the new gameplay, I hope it grabs me. But everybody just be patient. They're doing everything they can, and we've all kind of agreed that releasing this when they did was a financial decision, not a developer decision, in my opinion. And the developers, they don't want their love child being pooped upon, so they will work very hard to get everything fixed, and hopefully we've got the product that we all hoped for sooner rather than later.
So I get to close this out. First off, I think you guys have probably heard me talk way too much already tonight, and we're past the 2-hour mark. So also, I'm out of both tequila on the margaritas, and I've run through my 4th Dragon Milk beer. So I'm just going to say that everybody else said it well. Love each other. Be cool to each other. Have a little bit of patience with Frontier on the standpoint of, like, it's going to get way, way better in the next 30 to 60 days. Just chill. Enjoy the new stuff. Find what you can. Have fun with it. Remember, it's just a game. Remember that you love this company. And we're going to see you back shortly. And we're going to do round 2 of Odyssey launch. And at that point, I think we'll have way sort of better feelings in the community. I love you guys. Take care. Watch the doors and corners, kids. That's where they get you. And we're going to go ahead and peace out. Unless anybody else has anything they need to say, we're going to call it good. Speak now or forever hold your piss. Right on.
Bye-bye.
Right on.
All right. Right on, commanders. Fly safe. And if you can't do that, walk deadly. Ciao.
Nanu.
All right.
You had plenty money, 1922. You let other women make a fool of you. Why don't you do right like some other men? Get out of here, get me some money too. You're sitting down wondering what it's all about, but you ain't got no money. They'll put you out. Why don't you do right like some